Hello and welcome to Money Matters. Hong Kong has been known as Asia's world city for decades. As an international financial hub, all the top companies are here. But it's not just finance that makes the city tick. It's the restaurants, bars, and the culture of Hong Kong that has attracted top talent from all over the world. 2 years of COVID isolation has put the city's global reputation under pressure and its economy on death's door. Is there a way out?
I've seen the 67 riots, then I saw the virus. This is the biggest one which we lost losing a lot of money on it.
Yeah. COVID won't chase us away, but who knows what. You can predict the pandemic, but it's hard to predict policy response.
What's the strategy? What is the government going to do to help us and to have a clear vision on where Hong Kong is going?
Hong Kong is home to about 7.4 million people, and while the majority are locals, there is a huge population of foreigners who also call Hong Kong their home. Manu Milwani moved to Hong Kong in 1957 with his father Sam, who set up the world-famous Sam's Tailor in Burlington Arcade, Tsim Sha Tsui. Their clients include numerous world leaders. They also made famous the 24-hour suit for people coming to Hong Kong on business who wanted a hand-tailored suit and fast.
People, they arrive on the aircraft and they're going back and they say, okay, can you give me the suit? I say, yes, we'll give you fitting within 45 minutes, 1 hour. I cut the suit, right away we stitch it and put it on the body.
Manu says tourists account for over 60% of his business, so with the borders closed, he's really struggling.
But at this minute, I'm not doing anything. I'm paying to my workers from my own pocket now.
Manu does count himself lucky, since he says he did well for so many years and bought all the properties he uses for his business. So not paying rent takes huge pressure off of him. He employs 57 people and continues to pay them.
They were very, very good to me because I made money when they were doing work with me. Now I'm just giving back to them. All my staff in here, they're all working for me straight. I'm not fired yet.
Alex Offe grew up in Hong Kong and decided to come back and set up shop after studying overseas. Like Manu, he agrees that keeping his staff employed and paid is the most important thing for him and his partner.
If you ask anyone in the industry, this fight has become a lot more than just us as business owners and making sure that the business stays afloat. I think it's become a survival. We've gone into this survival mode for our teams. You know, every time we've had to impose these unpaid leave, it hurts. My partner and I, we understand what that means for them and for their families.
After the latest social distancing guidelines were implemented in January, Alex decided that it wasn't worth it to keep one of his restaurants open since they were only making 20% of what they were making in December, well below what they were making pre-pandemic.
The rent is still the same. We have our teams to pay. We have suppliers to pay. So, you know, when you think running a restaurant here in Hong Kong, your rent is usually, you know, between your 10 to 20% depending on the space. As soon as you do 20%, 30% of turnover, you're bleeding. And that's where we are right now. So it's very difficult.
While the government has allotted a $170 billion budget in relief measures and recently rolled out a new round of the employment support scheme to help some 1.3 million workers, Alex says this just offers short-term support.
Small businesses and is all about cash flow. You know, we're very low margin, low profit businesses. So we almost run by a month by month basis. The last thing you want is to accumulate debt, to put yourself in an even more difficult situation. It's a 100% guaranteed loan, but you have to put in a 50% personal guarantee. So if you're not able to pay that loan, then, you know, what happens? You're putting debt on yourself and you're back in the same situation.
Pretending to work and
Diana David is a consultant, author, and speaker who first moved to Hong Kong in 1999. Like Manu and Alex, this city is her home.
We're not one of the families that's fleeing for the exits by any means. I've never thought about leaving Hong Kong for good until really recently. It seems like Hong Kong is a difficult place to do business, but my family's here, and until the next announcement, we're staying.
She says that since the pandemic guidelines were put in place, particularly regarding travel, she's lost about 30 to 40% of her business.
I am an outlier relative to everybody who is competing for the same business globally. People are flying to do speeches and keynotes. They are flying to meet clients. People are getting together in person, and I just don't feel like I have that opportunity.
The recent announcement to lift the flight bans and drop quarantine to 7 days comes as a relief to many like Diana, who are still holding out hope for Hong Kong.
9 countries have been imposed a circuit breaker flight ban, and this is no longer necessary. We are seeking to have the earliest time, i.e. the 1st of April, for the flights to be resumed to Hong Kong.
For one undergoing quarantine at a designated hotel, even if the quarantine period is 14 days, if the PCR test on day 5 and the IT results on day 6 and 7 all test negative, the visitor can leave the quarantine hotel early.
I would like to be able to easily go in and out. I would like to be able to understand what some of the thinking is behind why we do what we do and why different restrictions are in place.
Alex hopes the government can offer more support to SMEs. His restaurant in Paris had to close for months, but with government support, they weathered it well.
There was tremendous support. Salaries were paid up to 85%. Utilities were sometimes deferred. Rents were sometimes waived or deferred depending on which lockdown we were in. We had the possibility of getting 100% guaranteed loan with 0 interest and 0 personal guarantee. And we were able to defer the first year of payment to a later stage. So that is a real support, because at the end of the day, what we need is cash to get over this crisis. But that's the type of support that we got, and that really had a positive impact.
More than anything, those who've chosen to wait it out are hoping Hong Kong will once again be the city that it was.
There's no other city like Hong Kong where you have the beach 25 minutes away from a bustling city center. And the opportunities that you have here in terms of business as well as lifestyle is you cannot compare to other major cities. Whether it's for locals or expats, the fact that the F&B industry is so attractive, so dynamic, that the hotels are what they are, that the nightlife is what it is, makes a huge difference to convincing, talent to come here. And right now, if we lose that, it's one of the main reasons why a lot of talents are leaving. It is a huge part of Hong Kong, and it has to be a huge part of how Hong Kong bounces back.
It's still a great place to live. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be the same international city that it was when I came. I think most cities have the appeal of being a melting pot of interesting people, and that's what attracts people to cities. So I hope that Hong Kong can maintain a group of amazing people from all over the world doing amazing things that you can meet and socialize with and do business with, and that's what makes Hong Kong so interesting.
Meantime, Manu is waiting for the time that borders will fully open and hopes that Hong Kong will once again be a destination people want to visit.
It's up to her, the big boss of Hong Kong, what she does. It's up to her everything.